So a few weeks ago, I had some friends come over and we did our own MLB power rankings. Now that MLB opening day is this week, I will now be taking it into my own hands as I predict who I think is going to win each division or, well, lose it. So we're going to be going back onto Tier Maker for the probably fourth time I've done this. And yeah, without further ado, let's get right on into it. But before this video starts, I do want to announce that I will be going live this Thursday for opening day at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time to watch the Athletics take on my Seattle Mariners for the opening day of the 2025 MLB season. This is like how I did with the Seahawks games, where I do my own play-by-play and reaction and commentary to it. So yeah, now with the baseball season, I'll try to do as many games as possible with those, because granted there are 162 games. It does take a lot of timing and scheduling to get all those games in, but I'll try to get as many in as possible. And I hope to see you all there. And yeah, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But most of all, enjoy. All right, so here we are back with tiermaker.com. Honestly, this is a goated website, and here we have them listed by division. So we got AL West, Central East, and then NL West, Central East. And we're not going to do it in the traditional sense where we just go one team by one. We're actually going to go one division. And it's going to be a little difficult to find all the teams at the bottom, but we'll get it figured out in its own way. So yeah, I'm going to be listing off by first place all the way down to last place in the division. And then obviously giving my predictions as to who I think is going to win each division. And then kind of just go from there. I probably will make changes here and there if my opinions change over time as this video goes on. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting off with the American League West, which is also the division my favorite team, the Seattle Mariners, is in. Honestly, for starters, it's pretty obvious who the favorite would be, and that would be the Houston Astros. They are my least favorite team out of all of baseball, but that's the problem. The reason I don't like them is because they just can't get rid of them. They find their ways to win every single time, and even though they start off really poorly like they did last season, they found their way to get hot at the right time and end up winning the division. So yeah, they did lose a lot of key pieces like Alex Bregman and Kyle Tucker, just to name a couple. But they did pick up some nice additions. I believe they got Isaac Paredes from the Cubs or the Rays. I think he was on both those teams at one point. And Christian Walker from the Arizona Diamondbacks. So those could help them with some good bats. I'm not too sure on who they got in terms of bats, or pitchers, sorry. But I do know they lost Verlander to the Giants, but he's getting old, so I doubt that's really as bad as you might think. So yeah, Astros as of now unanimously first place, or just outright first place. But in second place, I know I'm delusional for saying this, I'm going to put the Seattle Mariners. Now I know we didn't make many moves during the offseason, mostly just a bunch of like platoon bats and whatnot, and some random pitchers here and there. But we did re-sign Jorge Polanco, and he's been looking good in spring training. And we still have that elite starting five pitching rotation with Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Luis Castillo, Brian Wu, and Bryce Miller. It's not the order they're going to be playing in, but Logan Gilbert will be starting opening day. And honestly, if the bullpen can start holding it down more and the bats can just put up a little more runs that they would normally, then I think they have a shot to make the playoffs. I know Mariners are really poor in terms of making the playoffs, but I think it's definitely possible, and potentially win the division. So we'll see, depending on how the Astros do this year. But yeah. Now in third place, I have the other Texas team, the Texas Rangers. Now people see the Texas Rangers as a definite division winner here, but and also maybe even a World Series contender, even though they just won it 2 years back. But they had a real down year last year. They did pick up some good bats like Jake Berger, Cal Higashioka, and Jock Peterson, just to name a few. And then some other pitchers I think they did lose to some other teams. And I think that they'll have a better year than they did last year, but will it be as good as their World Series year? Because actually, their World Series year, they didn't even win the division that year. But they just made their playoff run. So I think it's definitely possible. They are definitely a fringe playoff team, much like my Seattle Mariners. But I think third place right now is a good middle of the road spot to put them. I just punched my microphone. And yeah. Now in fourth place, I actually do have a little bit of a surprising one. I have the Oakland now, well, just the Athletics, the Sacramento A's. I think this team is a lot better than people, put their they really think about. They've actually started spending money. They got Luis Severino. They extend Gio Urshela, who I don't really know if he's that worth it, but that's just a name that I remember seeing. Then they extended Brent Rooker and Lawrence Butler. Lawrence Butler being the most recent. And if they can stay healthy and put something together, and now that they're in a new ballpark and maybe change the scenery a little bit, I think this team has a chance to do some damage. Maybe not a playoff contender, but definitely a fringe winning record type team. They kind of just have to get it together, and I think they are a very sneaky team to look out for. Now, process of elimination, that does leave the Los Angeles Angels in last place. Now, I do know they got a lot of players like Jorge Soler, Yusei Kikuchi, Travis d'Arnaud, Griffin Canning, I think, is on there too. And, Mike Trout is going to be coming back, and he's going to be healthy playing in right field. Now, I honestly can switch the Oakland A's and the Angels together because they're both very similar teams. They do have the abilities to do damage in the division, but they're really not there yet. But if Mike Trout can stay healthy, he'll be an absolute menace on the baseball diamond, or just the field in general. But as of now, I have him in last place because honestly, this is just right before the season starts, and we'll kind of see how things go from there. Now, one of the more interesting divisions in the league is the American League Central, usually known for being one of the more weaker divisions in all of baseball. But last year, it had 3 playoff teams, which is absolutely incredible, with the Tigers, Guardians, and Royals, not in that order. But yeah, I think starting off, this can be a little bit of a shocker, but I think the Detroit Tigers can take the division this year. They have a great pitching rotation, mainly headlined by the Cy Young winner in the American League, Tariq Skubal. And their bats have gotten significantly better. They actually showed they really can have some pop with guys like Parker Meadows, Jake Rogers. I think he's pretty solid. I'm kind of just listing names that I know right now. Kerry Carpenter, I think I missed his name. Zach McKinstry, if he's still on the team. And they also got Gleyber Torres from the Yankees, who is a solid second baseman. So I think they have a lot going for them. And yeah, I think they're going to be a very fun team to watch. And they might be able to do some damage in the American League. So in second place, I think I got to go with the Cleveland Guardians. The Cleveland Guardians are just really, really good. I think they can also win the division as well, alongside the Detroit Tigers. I think it'll be a battle for the division at the very end, with guys like Jose Ramirez, Bo Naylor. Even though they lost Josh Naylor to the Arizona Diamondbacks, I still think they are a very solid team. They also just picked up Nolan Jones, a solid outfielder from the Colorado Rockies, in exchange for Tyler Freeman. And I think this team with their pitching is really solid as well. It's a really middle of the road starting rotation, but their bullpen can lock it down, especially at the back end with their saves leader in the American League, or I think all of baseball, Emmanuel Clase. So I think they're still a very dangerous team to go against, and maybe they can sneak their way into the postseason alongside the Detroit Tigers. Now, in third place, I got to give it to the Kansas City Royals. This team is solid. It's really solid. Honestly, all 3 of these teams can win the division. That's how close together the AL Central is, in my opinion. With guys like Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Crescentino, MJ Melendez, Salvador Perez, all those guys, they can make absolute plays. Honestly, that whole team can make plays. It's a very speedy team, except for Salvi, but it's Salvi. Bobby Witt Jr. is a rising star, and I think they can do an absolute hell of a lot of damage. And then if their pitching can hold it down, I'm not entirely sure who their starting 5 is off rip. I know they got guys like Seth Lugo, Lucas Urseg, just to name a couple. I'm trying to think about more on the fly, but it's kind of difficult when you're recording on the fly. But yeah, this team is very sneaky good. They always give my Mariners a lot of trouble, and I really don't like playing them because they give us way too much trouble than it's worth. But yeah, I think these top 3 teams can win the division in any way, shape, or form. So I think it's gonna be an extremely close race down the back end, and it's gonna be really fun to see who comes out on top. Now in fourth place, got to give it to the Minnesota Twins. Now they are probably the most average team on here. I think they went like 80 and 82 last year or something around that mark. And their biggest problem was inconsistency. They started off really hot, and they got great players like Royce Lewis, Carlos Correa, and a few others I'm really blanking on. I'm going to be doing that a lot this video. but they have the pieces, I think, to do it. The biggest problem is they got to stay healthy. I think, did Carlos Santana go back? No, he's not on this one. He's still on the Cleveland Guardians. But I think it is definitely possible for them to, make the playoffs. But like I said, they have to be consistent. Their pitching has to lock it down. Headlined by their ace Pablo Lopez, and in this very close and tough division, they really got to keep up with guys like the Royals, Guardians, and Tigers, as previously ranked. And now, obviously, in last place, I do have the Chicago White Sox. Do I think they will be as bad as they were last year? Absolutely not. I don't know how you can replicate that, but I do think they will still be the clear, favorite to lose the AL Central. This team is in full rebuild mode right now, and they really have a lot of issues just all around. But their farm system is really, really good, but that takes time to develop. So probably give it a few more years before they're actually, going to start being more middle of the road or even division contenders. Now moving on to the American League East, which I feel like is another very, very close division. It's really tough to pick between the Orioles and the Yankees to take first place, but I do think I'm going to give it, regular season-wise, to the Baltimore Orioles. Now, I do know the Yankees won the AL East last year, but they are coming off a season where they had a really, really solid team. And it's starting to lose some of their key pieces. Namely, Juan Soto went to the Mets, so that changes things a lot. He was a big part in the Yankees World Series run, and they just lost Garrett Cole to Tommy John surgery. So that is a big blow to their starting pitching rotation, especially since I believe he is their best guy on that rotation, which makes me then move on to the Yankees being in second place, but just barely. I think the Orioles just edge them out because the Orioles have the more complete team, in my opinion, less injuries, and honestly, they have a lot of good prospects in AAA that are going to be coming up, I'm sure, this year into the major leagues. The Yankees are still a very powerhouse team. They still have the absolute they really have the ability to win the division, no doubt. But I do think the Orioles edge them out here. And even Giancarlo Stanton, I think, might be hurt to start the year. So we'll kind of see how things go from there. And, yeah. So that means in third place, I have the Boston Red Sox. Now, this team is one I think is the biggest sleeper team in all of MLB, if I can think of off the top of my head right now. The Boston Red Sox have made so many moves for the better. I think they have a chance to win this division. I really do think they do, or at least get a top seed in the American League wildcard. They got guys like Garrett Crochet, Aroldis Chapman, Alex Bregman. Who else? Dude, I totally had this in my head just like 2 minutes ago. But they got a lot of guys that I think I'm really high on, that I think can make a serious push to win the AL East. They are my sleeper team right now. They didn't have the best year. They missed the playoffs. I think they just barely snuck a winning record, if not maybe just like a middle-of-the-road 500 team. But the Boston Red Sox are a team to look out for. I mean that in all sense of the phrase. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what this team can offer and put up competition in the American League East. So in fourth place, I have the Tampa Bay Rays. I just don't really know too much about this team. I didn't really see them do much in the offseason, and since they're now playing in a spring training facility, considering that Tropicana Field got destroyed by the hurricane a few months ago, I think. I'm losing track of time. It was quite some time ago. It's going to take some time to repair the roof of Tropicana Field. So now they're going to be playing at George Steinbrenner Field in the Tampa area, which is where the Yankees play their spring training games. I just don't really know too much about this team right now. I don't remember any crazy moves that they made, and maybe they can do some damage. We did take Randy Arozarena from them last year, so that definitely kind of sways my my predictions here a little bit. And then also kind of goes for the Toronto Blue Jays, who I think will be in last place. Honestly, the Rays and the Blue Jays can honestly switch off from each other. These two teams are honestly just the back end of the division. They're probably the least competitive out of these five. And, yeah, maybe they can do some heartbreaker damage near the back end of the season for the top three teams, maybe switch up the division standings and whatnot. But right now, there's really not much that I see going on for them. And, yeah, maybe they can prove me wrong. So now moving on to the National League. This is probably the more powerhouse league. I feel like the National League is miles better than the American League, especially considering how we saw the World Series go. The Dodgers were just the much better team. I feel like whoever made the NL in the World Series was winning it over the Yankees no matter what, even if the Mets made it. But for starters, here we have the National League West. Now, first place is obviously the Dodgers. I mean, they just won the World Series, and they're only getting better. They've gotten so many more players from other teams just because they have the money to spend it and they want to spend it. It's absolutely insane. They got guys like Blake Snell, Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates. What other bats did they get? I'm really trying to think what other bats they got, if really any. But I think more so they bolstered their pitching, which is going to make them even harder to get to. And with that absolutely explosive offense with Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, and just honestly, that whole squad can do damage. Max Muncy, this team is the clear favorite to not only win the division, but I think also win the World Series once again and repeat. So, yeah, not much we can really do about that. In second place, I do have the San Diego Padres. I do think this team is really, really good. They did give the Dodgers a run for their money in the National League Division Series last year. I was really pulling for them to win it because, you know, I actually mess with the Padres a lot. They're pretty cool. I'm hoping to go to a game there this year, down in San Diego. But yeah, I think this team has the pieces to do it. Guys like Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr. They did lose Jurickson Profar, who was actually a guy that I was really liked on there, but now he's an Atlanta Brave. And I think their pitching rotation can lock it down with guys like Michael King and Yu Darvish. I think they got a solid pitching rotation, and they can really do some damage in the playoffs and honestly the division as a whole. So I think they're going to be the second place team because the Dodgers, just the Dodgers. And yeah. So in third place, I do have the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now this is also a playoff team that I think can really do some damage. They have a lot of good pieces, and they have got a lot of new pieces that they got in the offseason, such as Josh Naylor. But they're guys that they already have, like, that Josh Naylor was to replace Christian Walker, I should mention. That makes a lot more sense now that I think about it. But Corbin Carroll, Eugenio Suarez, Seattle Mariners legend, by the way. We love him up in Seattle, even though I don't even live there. But Geraldo Perdomo still on the team. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., I think he's still there as well. Ketel Marte, how could I forget? MLB The Show legend, by the way. I think this team is a serious contender, even though they made the World Series a couple of years ago, and they just missed the playoffs last year, but I think they have the chance to do it again and make the playoffs, just barely making it into one of the lower wildcard spots, because they're definitely not on par with the Dodgers or the Padres just yet, but I think they have the serious potential to do so. So in fourth place, I have the San Francisco Giants. Now, the San Francisco Giants used to be one of the best teams in all of baseball for a while. They had a little dynasty going in the early 2010s, but that team is a shell of its former self. It just really doesn't have what it used to. They have one of the best ballparks in all of baseball, but that really doesn't do much in terms of how you play. So they've got some good pickups, like Justin Verlander, I think, is their biggest pickup of the entire offseason. And maybe if some certain players like Jung-Hoo Lee can stay healthy, they have a chance to do some damage. If Matt Chapman can, keep it up, he's been doing pretty solid. He's one of their better pieces. And then guys like Logan Webb and the pitching staff being their ace. If they can, keep things up, be consistent, play consistent baseball, I think they'll be just fine. Maybe contend with the second or third spot in the National League West. But as of now, I just don't see that happening. Now in fifth place, obviously we have the Colorado Rockies. It's just the Rockies have never really been that good as of late. They've been in some serious slumps lately, really big down years, and I see them getting worse before they get better. They definitely are in contention to be one of the worst teams in all of baseball. I really do like the Rockies as a team because I really do want them to do well. I kind of like to root for teams that don't do so well as of late. But I just don't think they have the pieces to do it. Honestly, I can't name like 3 players on that team. But maybe they have some a good farm system. We'll kind of see how that plays out. It's going to be fun nonetheless just to watch them play and see how they do. Maybe they get some crazy wins here and there. But other than that, they don't really have much going on, so I have them losing out on the NL West. Now, in the National League Central, this is a bit of a weird one. It's probably a more average division in baseball, but I do have the Milwaukee Brewers being the clear favorite to win it. Now, the Milwaukee Brewers have just been the clear favorite to win the NL Central for the past few years now because they're clearly the best team in that division. And that's really there's all to said by that. Christian Yelich, I'm pretty sure he's gonna be coming back. They still got, I think there's so many Contrerases in the league. I think it's William Contreras. That is the catcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, and a bunch of other players that they have that are really, really solid. Jackson Chourio, Bryce Terang, Sal Frelick, just to name a few. I don't know if Rhys Hoskins is still in that team, but if he is, he just makes that team even better. So I have them as a clear favorite to win that division. In second place, it's kind of tough. I do have the Chicago Cubs. I do really like the Cubs. They're a team I'm pretty high on. They're a fun team to watch. They got a good vibe players. They got like guys like Dansby Swanson. They just picked up Justin Turner, who I really wish the Seattle Mariners re-signed, but unfortunately we didn't. And they got pitchers like Shota Imanaga. I think Justin Steele's on that team. I don't know how good he is though. That's just a name that I happen to know. And a few others. Oh, and they also just picked up Kyle Tucker. Dude, how could I forget? They picked up Kyle Tucker from the Chicago Cubs in a trade, or from the Houston Astros in a trade, sorry. So that's definitely going to bolster that outfield. They also got Pete Crow Armstrong as well. And I think they just called up one of their prospects, Matt Shaw, who I think is a pretty solid prospect, and I think he can do some damage. So, yeah. And then, this is a weird one. In third place, I think I'll have to go with the St. Louis Cardinals. I know they're really not the best team in the world, but I do have them just over the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Cincinnati Reds, mostly because I think they have more, just veteran presence, especially with Nolan Arenado still on the team. I think if he sticks around, which I'm pretty sure it's looking like he is, the Cardinals can be okay. I don't know if they're I don't see them making the playoffs, unfortunately, but I think they are in prime position to, have a solid year, like a good 81-81 season. So next up, we have I have to go with the Pittsburgh Pirates, mainly because of Paul Skeens. I think they are, they can also take third place, if not second place. Honestly, the middle three, right here, can all be switched around, in my opinion. Because who knows how these teams are going to do. But Paul Skeens is the main man in Pittsburgh. I'm actually hoping to go see him pitch when I'm up in Seattle this summer, because that's who the Mariners are playing. If not, I'll go watch the Royals. But it's a young team for the most part, with some veteran guys that I do think will help that young team out. If they can get some good call-ups. I don't know how their farm system's looking, but if they can get some good call-ups, then maybe they can make a push for something. Maybe have a good back end, a good second half of the season. We'll see. The only player I really know all that much about is Paul Skeens, because, popularity. And then in last place, we have the Cincinnati Reds. I think they can also the only thing I can see winning is the Milwaukee Brewers for the division. The other four can honestly switch around any which way, because I think the division is just so average and close. Much like the AL Central, but the AL Central is a lot better than the NL Central. But yeah, with their stars like Ellie De La Cruz, and they got some decent pickups like Jose Trevino from the Yankees, and Gavin Lux from the Dodgers is another good pickup they had. So I think they can do some good stuff if their teams can, if these teams can stay consistently good, then I think it'll be a solid division race. If not, then it'll be like the same as it always is. Milwaukee Brewers win the division, and then they get bounced in the first round of the NL playoffs. Yeah. So finally, we have the National League East. Now, I think the New York Mets are going to win this division. They have been looking solid lately. They made the NLCS last year, coming in as a wildcard team, but I do think they have what it takes now. They got the pieces. They got Juan Soto. Francisco Lindor is still very hot. They re-signed Pete Alonso. They still have Francisco Alvarez. They got Tyrone Taylor, I still think's on there. Jesse Winker re-signed. Their pitchers like Sean Manaea, Edwin Diaz, Jose Quintana still on there. They did lose Luis Severino to the A's, but I still think this team is primed to make a National League East championship. I think they're a very scary team to look out for. So yeah, that's just me though. I'm really high on the Mets this year. And then in second place, I have the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies are a very, very good team. They also can win the division this year with Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber, just a bunch of those insane power hitters that come in the clutch, or just when you need a home run, you just call on Kyle Schwarber. And they got a solid pitching staff as well, with guys like Zach Wheeler. Trying to think who else is on there. Ranger Suarez, I believe, is still on there, just to name a couple. And I think this team can also win the division. They've been the clear favorites in the division the past couple of years, and I think they very easily can do it again. We'll just see how the Mets do, but I think it's going to be an absolute dogfight. And I have to say the exact same about the Atlanta Braves, who have a very solid team when healthy with Michael Harris, Ronald Acuna Jr. I almost said Freddie Freeman. I'm about to start tweaking. Jurickson Profar. Who else is on that? Who else is on that team? Ozzy Albies. And then headlined by the National League Cy Young Award winner, Chris Sale, who is absolutely devastating. But he's getting older, so we'll kind of see how that goes. But to me, he's showing no signs of slowing down. So I think this 3-team division race will be absolutely incredible to watch, and I'm absolutely thrilled and looking forward to it. So that means the last 2 teams, I think we're going to go with the Washington Nationals in 4th and the Miami Marlins in last place. I think the Washington Nationals are in more of a rebuild territory now. They have a lot of good prospects in the MLB pipeline system, and the Miami Marlins are kind of just in full sell mode. They're just getting rid of everybody. That's kind of just how they have been the past few years. They don't really have many good pieces anymore. I just don't see them doing a whole lot. I think they are going to be a bottom 5, if not bottom 3 team in all of baseball, and that's just the unfortunate truth, or at least my unfortunate truth. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very fun year. We're going to be getting into. It's going to be very exciting, and seeing new players come up through the minor league systems, it's always a thrill. All right, well, this is going to do it for this one. This is the full list here. Whether you agree with it or not is totally up to you. This is just my predictions in a quick 20-minute video. Just wanted to make this really quickly and just kind of advertise that I'm going to be going live this Thursday to do my play-by-play and reaction to the A's versus the Mariners on opening day. That is Thursday at 7:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys all there. Make sure to leave a comment and let me know what you guys think of these predictions here. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next one.